Good morning, fellow Accelerator organization members. Hope you're all having a great day today. Here it's a little cloudy in Philadelphia, but we're expecting some beautiful sunshine. Going to try to get out today. It's exciting to always get these emails and be able to answer questions of entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs who are looking to build great businesses. I know right now it's been a very tough time, but you know what? It's you who are saving this country by creating new opportunities for yourself and for others who are connected with you. So let's get started. Here's the first question. It's from Michael Paley. Michael writes, I have an air conditioning refrigeration company servicing restaurants. My question is, if you were in my field of business, how would you go about getting leads or mainly new customers? If I were you, I would do a few different things. One is if you're selling to other commercial businesses, I would go and find out contractors who can make introductions for you and suppliers to contractors. In Philadelphia, there was a guy who was a roofing supplier, and he was able to get his own roofers who came to him for supplies many contracts. For years, they were almost dependent on him as if he was business development for him. So I would go to contractors who could recommend you. I would go to people that would sell the products that you are installing and ask them if they know of anybody who could utilize you. I would go and make sure that I was on Google. So when somebody types it in, they can see your website. I might even run Google ads. But one of the things I would definitely do to make sure I don't waste any of my money, and that is I would go and talk to people who would potentially buy your product and find out from them how do they find out about products like yours. Ask them, do they go on the internet and find out about you? Do they see you on Facebook? Do they see you on LinkedIn? Do they look at ads? Do they listen to radio spots? What is it that they do that influences them to get it? And ask them whose judgment they trust, and go to those people whose judgment they trust and get to know them so that they will recommend you. So that's the best way for you to go and get refrigeration business. Also, trade associations are good because I'm imagining you're selling to restaurants, and you might contact the heads of trade associations in your region, chambers of commerce, anybody who deals with the kind of clients you're after, and join those organizations and ask them to make introductions. So there's a variety of ways that you can go and do this, but make sure you're visible, that you're supporting your community, and that you're out there networking as much as possible. The second question is from Tim Schiffer. Tim describes his business as that he owns and operates an e-commerce outdoor retail store focused on hiking, camping, and backpacking. That sounds like a great business right now because we have so few choices to entertain ourselves. We've been around 2.5 years and are experiencing steady growth. Not a surprise there, but not yet explosive growth. Brick and mortar has been a desire of mine since the business started and was in our 3 to 5 year business plan. What are your thoughts on opening a physical retail location in this environment when the trend is away from that? Well, if I were you, right now, you probably can get the best possible deal for renting space. But what you might do is pay a higher premium and rent space for a year instead of locking yourself into a 3 to 5 year or longer agreement, and see if that actually helps you. There are probably retail stores that would actually even give you space in those stores, or retailers who've gone out of business who would like somebody to assume their agreement, and they might be willing to let you take it for 6 months to a year to try it out, and you can pay them on a monthly basis. So it's less money that they have to pay, but you don't have to make the big investment, because once you lock in for 3 to 5 years, mostly these are 5-year agreements. Well, what if that doesn't work out for you? What if people continue to prefer to buy online? So I would do that. I would also survey my customers that go out there and find out how important is it for you to have a bricks and mortar store to do it. I mean, we've seen Modell's and other stores shrink, if not disappear totally from it. We have Eastern Mountain Sports in the Philadelphia area, and they used to have a lot of stores. Now I think they have 1 or 2 stores after having 10 or 15 of them. So I'm not so sure that bricks and mortar for the money you're going to spend is worthwhile doing. That being said, if you have a warehouse full of your stuff, then people could actually come to your warehouse and shop at the warehouse. And people love that. They love to come to these big open places and sort through things. So you might not have to go and spend the money and get a store in a strip center that's going to require a long-term lease, and it's going to be highly expensive. So you might try having people just come to your facility that you already have, see if they want to come there. But my guess is that your customers are coming from more than a 15-minute, 30-minute drive time. And if that's the case, then it probably doesn't make any sense for you. Our next question is from Sean Thomas. I hear many experienced entrepreneurs talk about delegating and only doing the things you're great at, and unfortunately, it's only me. And I am just starting, so I don't have the team nor the money to hire a full-time team. I know I can't be alone in trying to understand how to get everything done on a limited budget, and it's only being me. How did you do it when you were starting? Is it just a mindset, or where did you go to learn everything to get everything done? Looking for your story. Thanks so much. Well, first of all, I've been an entrepreneur over 30 years. And when you start out, you really don't have any money, and you end up having to go and do everything yourself. And you know you're going to make mistakes. Now, when I say everything yourself, I think everything yourself as could be the marketing, the sales, the planning, but you could develop a website on your own. But let's say, for instance, I have a new venture called Funding Organizer, and it's going to be launched next week. And Funding Organizer allows you to apply for a business loan by giving you an online application that has everything in it. Well, I'm not a developer. I couldn't go and do that. So I had to go find a partner who was a developer and have him put it together. But before I did that, I had to do a lot of research and understand what he would be doing so I can help him out. But all the other things, you're getting your licensing, doing your accounting, doing your sales, doing your marketing. In the beginning, there are things you have certain strengths of. My strength was marketing and sales. My strength wasn't doing accounting, but I learned to do accounting. And actually, the more things that you learn, the better you are at being able to bring people in to fill those positions as you grow the company, because you really need to know what it takes to do every position in the organization. And know this, you're going to make errors. Everybody makes mistakes. It's impossible not to. I've had partners who've come from large organizations. One of my partners ran a $30 billion business for a Fortune 500. And he found out that he had learned more in 2 years on our startup than he had learned in his entire career in corporate America, because you're doing so many things simultaneously. And the thing is, I like to put lists together, so I knock off things on the list. I like to be highly organized, but know that in an entrepreneurial environment, everything is very fluid. Things are constantly changing. You've got to be able to roll with those changes. So don't put too much pressure on yourself. Know that things are going to go and change. Know that you're going to go make mistakes. And there's so many online tutorials for all the different things that you need to do in a business that you can go and find those things, get yourself started. Also, there's so many great books, so many great columns, so many great podcasts out there. So take advantage of all of those things, and maybe even you've joined this group, and you should leverage this group and ask people out there for advice, because our accelerators program is terrific. You have people from all over the country with all types of experiences. Plus you have people like myself and others who are lending their experience to you. Put it out there and ask people for advice on things that you don't know something about. And as you grow, look for people who can take over different roles in your organization. But again, Everybody, I can't think of almost anybody, whether it's Mark Zuckerberg or Facebook or Steve Jobs, everybody does all the jobs in the beginning. And then over time, as the organization grows, they start to delegate it. And what you want to get to at some point is where you're just doing strategic planning, meeting with customers, speaking at events, so you can raise the visibility. You don't want to be mired in having to do email marketing campaigns, email newsletters, and all the other things that you end up doing in the very beginning. But again, in the beginning, it's great to learn all of those skills because that way you know what it takes to do each one of those positions. So the next question is from Bob Guerre. I hope I pronounced that name correctly, Bob. Bob writes, now that I'm starting my side business, I also thought, why not look to quit my day job and do that work as a freelancer for myself instead of the company? But I don't want to get into a legal problem with a 12-month non-compete or have any other issues. Just wondering what else I should take into consideration. He asked, when leaving a job, are there ways to fight a non-compete, and what are other things I should look out for? Non-competes are very hard for a company to defend. Non-disclosures can be easily defended. Also, non-solicitation, where they give you a list of companies that you work with that the company actually brought in, and they tell you you can't go after those companies. If you decide to leave your company and a client decides to follow you, but you didn't solicit them, well, that's going to be a hard thing for the company to go and prove. But non-competes are very hard to go and maintain because you have to be able to make a living. And there might be reasons that you decided not to stay with the company besides going out on your own. The best thing to do is check with an attorney in your region because every state's labor laws are different. It's not just a federal law, it's mostly what the law is in your particular state. So as you've seen with Uber and Lyft, in California, they're being told that these people who ride and drive a certain number of hours are full-time employees, and that's going to change the whole dynamic for Uber and Lyft, probably loses their competitive advantage over typical taxi cabs. So if you're going to go and start out part-time, or maybe just as you've mentioned here, leave and go full-time, then that's okay. You can go and do that, and you might even say to your boss that, you know what, I really don't want to work for someone full-time. I want to go off on my own. But I have no plans to solicit our existing clients, the clients I've worked with, and possibly you could still utilize me, but I really want to go and be out on my own. And by the way, I've known people who've told companies this, and the companies have hired them on a part-time basis. In fact, I'm on the board of a condo association, and the guy who does our painting told us he wants to go out on his own and paint for other condos. So we decided we'll contract him for a certain number of hours a week and let him start his own business. I think most people are understanding when somebody feels like they need to go on their own. What they don't want to hear is that you just went off on your own and started trying to steal the clients that they've worked so hard to build up along with their reputation. That's unfair to the company. But as with many other businesses, especially services business where you're a lawyer, an accountant, you're a business plan writer, you're an architect, when clients know you and you leave, more than likely they're going to leave with you, so you'll get your initial clients to go and get started. But again, talk to a lawyer, find out what the laws are, and make sure you're talking to an employment lawyer, not just a generalist, but an employment lawyer who will tell you what you need to be able to do in order for you to move on. Well, I look forward to getting more questions in the future. I hope all of you have a great day. Again, I really salute all of you for taking the risk to start your own business. It's one of the hardest things you can do. In fact, this was pretty interesting. I one time was speaking to a group of special forces, Navy SEALs, military people. And after I spoke, I was so thankful to be able to speak to these people. Afterwards, some of them came up to me and I said, I'm so appreciative of what you've done for our country that allowed me to go off and be an entrepreneur. I'm so impressed. You guys have so much courage to do what you do. And a couple of them turned to me and said, courage? Are you kidding? It's so much more stressful being an entrepreneur than it was fighting battles. Because here you know who you're supposed to go after. You don't have to raise money. You don't have to go and get materials. You don't have to do any of the things that an entrepreneur has to do. It's pretty straightforward. So they were telling me, people who are highly skilled, that being an entrepreneur is super stressful. So think of yourselves as special forces for entrepreneurship, and that you're making a huge difference in your country. And if you're not from the United States and you're in other countries listening to this, I'm sure your country appreciates it as well. Have a great weekend. Please stay safe. Look forward to seeing you soon.